One, gotta take down my screen to make sure that we're going live. Go up. It's looking excellent. It says excellent, and we're looking excellent. Here in comic book land. Oh, there we are. Which means there's nothing else left to say but hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason. It's a brand new episode of the Major Issues Podcast, brought to you each and every week by comicbookclick.com. And as always, I am never alone. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
Back in the building for another Spider-Man installment. Cloudus Maximus, baby.
I think it's in your contract now that you have to do
Yes,
Spider-Man
I think
adjacent
so.
content. I don't know who exactly you spoke to for that. I don't know if I even approved it, but I definitely know that that's a thing going on. But
I know somebody. She's pretty alright.
yeah, but it turns out that he's not the only person we have here. Other sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? My name is Russ, the King of Hearts himself. New member to Comic Book Click as of November. It's been an awesome ride, and I'm very happy to be here to talk Superman, Spider-Man, and this amazing crossover that we had.
Bro, welcome. Obviously you've been kicking butt in the review space. You were part of Major Discourse where we got to talk to Philip Kennedy Johnson and we spoke about Superman at length here. I guess what I'm going to pass it over to you, Jarvis, first. When you heard about this crossover, this massive, and that's what we're talking about today, Superman, Spider-Man #1, the DC half of this two-parter. What do you think? Were you excited? What were some of the thoughts going in your mind with this?
Super duper excited. I already knew this was history from Jump Street. So I just had to do my best to get my hands on, the best that I could. So I ended up getting, as you can see the picture behind me, the Superman Spider-Man #1 variant with Kara and Gwen. Yep. Oh, shout out to the Boo, because she was the one that hooked me up since I couldn't get out. I couldn't get out of the house, sadly. So, but we made it.
100%. There's just so many amazing, gorgeous covers for this comic.
Oh, too many.
We spoke about it a little, and there's gonna just be another litany of them when they come out, when it all comes back around. Russell, I didn't ever got your opinion. What did you think of the Deadpool Batman crossovers that came out not that long ago?
Dude, so I read the DC one. I didn't check out the Marvel one, but I loved the DC side of it. I loved how the line, I think, where Batman says something like he's managed to make me crazier in less time than you ever did.
Yeah.
Something like that with him and Waid. Like the whole, like, the mix was great. And I think the best part about it is kind of like similar to one that we're going to talk about today, is like these are books that like help get people that don't always read comics to read comics.
100%.
Like when you see characters like these that, oh my God, Batman, Deadpool, like, oh my God, Superman and Spider-Man together, like, what's going on? Like, ultimately what I love about these kinds of things is like people see these characters that don't normally interact. What's going on? Let's check it out. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite of those two?
What, for Batman and Deadpool?
Yeah. Like the DC or the Marvel side?
Oh, I didn't, like I said, I didn't check the Marvel side out, so I'm gonna stick with the DC side. But
fair.
Yeah, I'm sure the Marvel side was awesome too. I just didn't get the chance to.
It's a whole lot of book. So I definitely don't blame you in that sense. I'm excited to see what the other half of this pairing is. Spider-Man, Superman and Spider-Man, but I really, really like the main story in this. And then, as always with these books, I feel like some of the back matter, works or it doesn't work depending on where you're coming from at this. Another thing I would say is I was very surprised at what things I did like. I was specifically the last story. Yeah. I thought the last story was gonna be like a throwaway story, and I ended up really, really kind of gravitating towards it in a very funny way. But yeah,
especially the two characters that are in that last story. You wouldn't think they would be like, those are not the two you'd think of an immediate pairing. But somehow, like, I'm actually really excited to talk about the last story because it just worked.
Yeah,
I really cool.
I like how unexpected that was too. Because when I even when I'm watching and they give you like a slight little table of contents kind of deal for the comic, for the rundowns. But that last one was slightly random, and I did not have that on my bingo. So, and I also thoroughly enjoyed that too. That was cute as hell.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree. I think that, and I think that's kind of what these things should be for. I heard Gail Simone say like this was a dream project to get on here and be able to tackle. He's the one who does the Power Girl Punisher, what I was talking about at the end of it. And you can tell for a lot of these guys, I think Jorge Jimenez said the same thing, like the chance to draw Superman and Spider-Man in the same comic for the first time in 50, 60 years. I believe it's 50 years.
But you see,
76.
but that's the thing though. So I'll double back to what Russ said. These things are an excellent jumping on point for anything that you want to just check out. You see this stuff come out, and it's like you don't have to worry about, oh, do I have to read this? Do I have to read that to understand this? You know, you get such a cold open when it comes to it. You don't even have to. It stands on its own because it's its own story. You know what I mean? So that makes me excited for everyone else that's looking into it. That if they were to jump in, they'd be just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a lot of responsibility, right? To be able to write something that the main people are gonna like and dig and appreciate, but also that somebody who's brand new off the street doesn't feel too confused. And I think that's why sometimes these things can end up being rated a bit lower, because some comic fans who've been reading either Amazing Spider-Man or Superman, there's a bunch of big things happening in both of those books right now.
That they don't have time for, not time, but the attention span for this right now, that because they're so heavy in what's going on over here, they can't, they feel like they're being taken away if they jump into something not happy-go-lucky, but something just like this, a crossover story, you know? It's almost like you're unplugging them to plug them into this, and it just wouldn't feel right to them, I guess. You know?
Yeah, and what a responsibility. We're not talking about, I mean, Deadpool and Batman was pretty big, but I feel like it's really hard to get Batman wrong. If that makes any sense. I'm not trying to, lessen anybody who's been writing Batman. Rob Liefeld, we just posted something not that long ago. Rob Liefeld's like, anyone can fucking write Batman. But, and then Deadpool, I think so long as you're able to be a bit, jokey and have some fun with it, I think that's, again, I hate to say simple, but these characters are delicate. There's a lot of love for Superman. There's a lot of love for Spider-Man. I don't think is it fair to say not every Superman fan is a Spider-Man fan, or do you guys think?
I see a lot of similarities, but the same thing.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree in saying that they're both. I mean, they're both. If you really want to distill it down, they're probably the both most. I know Batman fans will get on my back about this, but they're probably two of the most. These are the two that you recognize from their respective companies. If you needed like the mascot, right?
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man, dude. You don't have to read comics. Spider-Man is in like ingrained in pop culture. The same thing with Superman, right? So that's why a story like this, it not only brings in comic fans, but it crosses these generational gaps too. Your dad knows Spider-Man. Your grandparents know he knows Spider-Man and Superman. Also, it's all of this, the history that these two have, and bringing them together and making sure that you handle a meeting between them and their worlds with the respect and the fun that it can have. And like so many of these stories, especially the one with the bridge, really touched me that was in this. And I really liked a lot of the creative choices that were made throughout this like little anthology.
It was handled with truth, justice, and damn it, responsibility.
A bunch of responsibility. You know, it's funny, like these are two of the biggest characters, but I think that we were just having this conversation off air, Russ, a bit about the idea that like Superman has had a bit of trouble in adaptations recently. He went the entire 90s without a single film. That's something a lot of people don't recognize.
No film, but still one of the absolute greatest incarnation of the character, thanks to Tim Daly and George Newbern.
100%.
Because the whole world with the Timverse is like, I still think probably one of if not the best representation of the DC world in that kind of medium and animation. And like we might not have gotten Superman in live action, but man, what a version we did get in the 90s. So I will always love like the STAS version going into Justice
the credit
League.
Card, right? With the credit card.
We got our boy Abel saying let's go in this conversation here. Working real hard to get people to be able to see these YouTube chats, and I don't know how exactly I'm doing it, but what up, Abel? Thank you for joining us here. Yeah, we can go ahead and sort of get into what this story entails. This was obviously teased after the success of Batman Deadpool, but also this is celebrating the anniversary of the 1976 story that came out. There's actually a bit of a homage. I don't know if it's homage that it's called or what exactly it's called in regards to something that a line that gets said that kind of helps solve everything at the end is from the 1976 story. We can go ahead and get started on Truth, Justice, and Great Responsibility by writer Mark Waid. But yeah, I mean, even the cover of this thing,
So beautiful.
which I gone ahead and did a trans. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there you go. We got Abel right there. That's pretty cool. Even the cover of this thing is gorgeous, and like I said, this is a who's who of comic book writers on this project. And
oh yeah,
I am not embarrassed to say that hopefully pretty soon we'll be talking to one of these writers. And I'm going to be doing is asking about this book in a lot of ways. So yeah, we can go ahead and get into it here. Our story starts with Dr. Otto Octavius barking at his AI, demanding to know who the world considers the leading expert in cyber robotics and radiation. When the system fails to name him as number one, he vows to force the world to respect the intellect of Dr. Octopus. However, in trying to come up with a plan with his AI, the voice that answers back is not, I forgot what he calls his AI. It's something very silly.
It's a decert or something like that.
Yeah.
Decern.
Yeah. So instead of that, it's a freaking Brainiac, and the cosmic villain ends up offering Otto a path to immortality, provided they form a mutually beneficial alliance. Russ, what do you think about Otto being one of the people brought in here for this? They didn't do Lex and Goblin, or Joker and Goblin, which might have been a little bit too simple. Oh, what do you think about the idea of Brainiac and Otto?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, if you're gonna have a story where you're bringing in Brainiac, you want to have the guy on the other side be someone that's just as smart and devious, right? Yeah. And I mean, what a great guy to bring in from Spider-Man's world with Otto Octavius, and bring in with the whole world with everything with AI now, having Brainiac be this evil AI again. It's just somehow fitting in the times that we live in right now, right?
It books itself, don't it?
Yeah, exactly. It writes itself, right? So I love the choice to have Otto be like the Spider-Man side of this. And like, look, Brainiac, he's one of the best Superman villains of all time, right? And it's going to be so cool to see him on the movie screens next year for the first time in Man of Tomorrow. Also, I can't wait to see how Lars Eidinger is going to play this guy. And yeah, I mean, look, Otto's great. It was really cool to see him being the choice from Spider-Man's world, and then they fit really well. Like as the story goes on, like how their partnership kind of grows and then ends up not growing was really, really cool to see.
Only one big brain around in the room, bro.
That's right. That's it.
That's what
Metropolis isn't big enough for the two of them, right?
That's what happens sometimes. Jarvis, how are you feeling about these villains being chosen for this?
I also think it's perfect booking. Not only that, but it's like I just said. Eventually, I already knew only one brain can fit in this room, bro. So who's it gonna be?
It feels funny that as Russ says, like he's talking like to ChatGPT in the beginning. He wants the answer that he wants, and it doesn't give it to him. And he's like, "Oh well, then I'll do. I'll destroy the world."
But it's like, exactly what Russ said. It's like you know what's up because it's like today with AI and stuff like that. It kind of even you hear that when you go in. So it's like, here we go. This ain't gonna go good.
Yeah. My apologies. You guys had mentioned it early on, but in case the people weren't following, this is the first story, Truth, Justice, and Great Responsibility by Mark Waid, Jorge Jimenez, and Timu Mori, who does the colors on this, and the colors on this are gorgeous. So definitely want to shout out those people there. Meanwhile, in Metropolis, Clark Kent picks up Peter Parker to head towards Star Labs.
Hold on. Let me 1 second.
Dude, one of the best
bro.
Yeah.
Reporter bros.
one of the best panels. I'm sorry. One of my favorite panels
Right?
in all of this standout is just when you see the two of them in full reporter mode walking.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like this is so
Hell
cool.
yeah.
Like Peter's taking pictures for
That
Clark. Like,
shot,
dude,
that shot
yeah.
of
Them just like
that shot
walking
of
through
the
the airport or Star Labs are in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it
that
just looks
shot of
so
them,
cool.
the shot of them in full gear and them having the IDs right next to each other.
The
Oh my
IDs was pretty
God.
cool too.
The
Oh
IDs
my
is
God.
awesome,
Come
right?
on,
Yeah.
bro. Come on,
Yeah.
man.
It also shows how much uh Superman dwarfs Spider-Man, like Clark dwarfs
Oh,
Spider-Man.
Yeah,
oh
he,
He's like
yeah,
a
bro,
linebacker standing there. He's like, "Oh, excuse me,
Coleman
can
is
I get a quote?"
crazy.
He's fucking 300 pounds of muscle. He's like,
So
"Can I
I'm
get
I
sorry
a?"
do have a
if I bumped into him in traffic out on the street, I gotta take the bump, bro.
That's
so
how
I
it
do
is.
have a question for both of you. I think you
Sure.
guys could probably clear it up for me too. Is this world like in this book? Is this a case of the universe is crossing over, or is this a universe where the Marvel and DC worlds exist on the same Earth?
I,
Because
I
I
I would
I
think
was
the
trying to
book.
piece that together.
Yeah, I would think that the book is a place where both of them exist, only because,
Yeah,
right? I think what you're bumping up against right now is the statement that he says, like, Metropolis is not that far from New
yeah,
York or
it's not that
whatever.
far from New York.
yeah.
And
I thought that even as a throwaway line, I thought that was fucking crazy.
I also gotta say DC kind of plays fast and loose with that stuff anyway, because I want to say at some
Yeah.
point Nightwing was working in New York or
Yeah, I think New York does exist in
so
New York
yeah,
definitely exists in
you
DC. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so you have these places that don't, and then you have these places that do. It's very strange. I don't know where New York is in response to Gotham. Later on, we see a Spider-Man who would be in Nueva York, hanging out in
Oh,
Gotham and
yeah.
stuff like that. So I gotta believe, and the fact that no one's like, occasionally you'll get, "Who are you?" But for the most part, no one's like, making a big deal
Yeah.
Yeah,
about
They
this
don't seem like
interactions.
so shocked like to see. I guess that's the thing where I was like, what's going on here? They seem like this is like a normal occurrence. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
but it's cool though. Like, yeah, if it is that case where they are just existing on the same planet, I mean that's can you imagine the things that go on in a combined amalgam DC Marvel New York?
Absolutely ridiculous. That's why I thought
if I didn't have powers, I'd be pissed.
a step
Yeah,
further, and
right.
not to get ahead of myself, but a step further from that is when you literally have a comic reader in the room with Spider-Man going, "Hey, by
Hmm.
the way, you got the symbiote in this issue, but you dumped it in this issue in Secret
Yeah.
Wars, yada yada." So that stuff is hilarious. Um, so they are investigating a theft of radioactive material by a thief with superhuman strength. They quickly discover the stolen substance was kryptonite, which the lab was using to experiment with data transmissions via fast neutron. Spotting familiar claw marks on the scene, Peter and Clark realize Octavius has his hands on the one thing that could bring down the Man of Steel, so they immediately get on the case. You get this awesome
Hell yeah.
panel
Hell
here
yeah. I was waiting for somebody. Hell yeah.
of them just in action, them in go mode, Superman flying,
Fuck.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You just sit there. Yeah, if you've seen any, okay. Matter of fact, I didn't even bring this up.
You know how,
But
hold on. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
You know how
We're all just fanboying.
you know how long it took me to read this fucking comic, bro?
Because you
You
kept
know how
marking
long
out.
it took me to read this? Because I was just ah
Yeah.
ah 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 ah
You
I feel
mentioned
like
ah.
every time you turn a page throughout this book, there was something that you just needed to stare at for a while, right? Like, oh my God.
And I
Like
turned every page just to slowly because I didn't know what I was gonna get. I'm just, oh my God.
there were so many times in my head where I was like, I just want this as a print to put
Oh,
this up in my house. Like,
100%.
please.
I need some. I don't have any.
I think that no, they did a absolutely tremendous job in being able to, like, in that moment there when they jump, I gasped because as you were talking about before, we may not have had a blockbuster film about Superman, but we had Superman the animated series. You also had Spider-Man the
Mhm.
animated series. So like besides Batman and maybe Justice League Unlimited, like those were the creme de la creme when it comes
Mhm.
to
Yeah, absolutely.
adaptations. And you know, another controversial statement that I'll say, Spider-Man's been getting quite a kicking in comics recently anyway. Even though he seemingly, he always kicks butt in film. In comics recently, they've been saying that he's kind of been stuck in a certain mode. So I feel like this puts him in a level of prestige because it puts him right next to the superheroes that he should be next to. He is A-list and stuff like that. A lot of people have forgotten with this whole new wave of MCU stuff, right? where we kind of squeeze out a Spider-Man story here and there. The Spider-Man can exist completely on his own with his own rogue gallery in his own world and never touch anything else. Like he's that high tier of a character. But I even like him being little brother in this kind of scenario too. It feels very interesting. The stakes escalate as we learn Brainiac is suffering from a literal mind virus. I was like, are we doing like the woke mind virus? Like he's got the anti-woke mind virus going on, Brainiac, that he got from some civilization he exterminated. I love that he almost like blames them. Like those bastards tricked me before I killed them. Like, yeah, I wonder why, bro. I wonder what the motivation was to do that.
Did you try to shrink them and kill all of them? Yeah, probably. Like, yeah, I wonder why they wanted to kill you. Like,
they got a little tech. I mean, a little pissed. Using the stolen kryptonite and fast neurons, Otto successfully extracts the virus, and then he has to put it somewhere. He broadcasts it across the entire city. The waves weaken Superman instantly and begin driving the public into fatal, violent frenzy. Despite his weakening strength, Superman saves civilians from a building. That's another like Superman thing, right? Like this motherfucker's dying. Like the one thing that is affecting him is on this earth, and he's still like, there's a building catching fire, and there's no firemen around to put it out. So he's like, and so Spider-Man's down to save these people too. Like we got to do it. Great power, great responsibility. And he just webs up Superman a armor, a web gown. Some flame retardant webs to help him out in this fire. Just watching them just do what they do, right? It's always about the people for these two. It's just a beautiful, beautiful moment here. And,
I never knew I needed to see Superman in a web armor,
web hazmat suit.
Web hazmat. Like again, like this is why this stuff is so friggin' cool, right? We're not gonna see this again for who knows how long, but like for this moment in time, 100%. Superman was webbed up, running through a fire with Spider-Man as backup. If that line didn't excite you, why are you reading comics, man? Come on.
I was at a Superman panel and somebody was talking about like, you know, one of the things people have an issue with in that James Gunn adaptation is the whole like squirrel scene or whatever. But if I was writing Superman, and when I do write Superman, if he has a chance to save the squirrel, he saves the squirrel. If it's the squirrel or a little girl, he'll save the little girl. Sorry, squirrel. But if he has that second, that's what he's going to do. And this is kind of that, obviously in a bigger sense, as actual human beings. But the world is going crazy right now. Everyone is ripping whatever data is getting streamed into their brains. You know, it was like when they gave all those people the YouTube album on their iPhones without asking anybody. You know, just data terrorism going on. And Superman's still like, but wait, those people over there. And Spider-Man, you know, there's a little bit of hesitance, but it's still like, what we do. And they just get on and do what they do. And I don't know, it just comes off as very cool, almost effortless. But like, if it is these two, I mean, these guys could clean up, I think, multiple cities and some pretty. They should have a night and day duty, right? Like,
look, night and day. If there was any way possible, I would love to see these two do this on like. Again, who knows with the rights and the money and all the stuff that goes into this, but like, even if we got to see these two meet up like twice a year, like a biannual kind of book, right? Like, they just, I feel like you could tell so many stories with these two, like with each of their villains. Like, yeah, give me Superman fighting Venom, give me Spider-Man fighting Parasite. Like, let me see this cool stuff. Like. I just love. I know a fanboy in mad hard. No, man, I just love it. It's great.
I feel the same way.
It's a good book, and I also now I'm thinking to myself, could you imagine what that meeting at like the Hall of Justice is like, where he's like, you hung out with that Marvel guy, huh, Clark? And he's like, yeah, I loved it. What about you, Bruce? I fucking hated it. It was terrible. It's kind of fucking crazy. It's driving me crazy.
Or like we were talking about, right? Like if they both exist on this version of this world. What does a JLA Avengers like headquarters even look like, right? Yeah. Like that's insane to think about. Just like Superman running into Thor and like Hulk running into like Green Lantern, like all the interactions there must be so cool to think about.
You'd have the the Hall of Avengers and the Justice Tower. that's what it would all be. Makes a lot of sense. You know what I also like is that in this story, one of the things that happens is that they realize that this virus, this tech virus, is fatal. So it's killing the people that it's infecting. And both of them immediately like lock into serious mode. Like people are dying. Oh, it needs to be a wrap. But I like that Peter's like, oh, if it's like mass casualties, that's not Otto. Like maybe Otto's helping, but he's even they make it a point in this book to be like, Otto's just, pardon my language, a prick. He's not a sadistic
a mass
slaughter,
murderer.
mass murderer, serial killer kind of guy. And I like that line that he sits on in Spider-Man's universe. I mean, you had that amazing, spoiler alert for a 10-year-old game at this point, moment in the in Marvel Spider-Man that really made you appreciate Otto as a mentor before eventually kind of like putting that away. And you dealt with a little bit of it in Spider-Man 2. I think that's why that works. I like Marvel not wanting to continue to just play on villain Otto Octavius in this. And I think stuff like Spider-Man saying this is not like Otto is supposed to be the divider to show you the difference between a Brainiac and Octavius in this. And Superman's like, oh, I know who the hell it is. He's like, it's not Otto, but who could it be? And Superman's like, nah, fuck this. I got this.
I gotta go up, bro.
Yeah, they're like, okay, you know what? I see Brainiac's ship. I'm going to Brainiac's ship. I'm gonna go handle that. I see that the beam or the tech stuff is coming from a certain lab. You go and handle Otto there. Turns out they switch places. Otto's actually in Brainiac's ship. Brainiac is in the lab. Otto starts to beat on Superman with his kryptonite-laced mechanical arms. But then Clark appeals to his ego and says that he was once hailed as a genius in the Daily Planet and is too brilliant to be Brainiac's pawn. This is all he really wanted. This is what the entire adventure was about, was him not feeling respected as for his intellect, only for his monstrous appearance as Dr. Octopus. He wants more people to know him as Otto Octavius. Turns out it was in the 1976 book that Clark writes an article saying that Otto is one of the greatest minds on Earth, and if he only put his mind to solving the world's problems instead of causing the world's problems, he'd be in a better fit. So the idea that they bring up this old article and Clark would know because he fucking wrote it, I really like that.
You know something funny? What I thought about that? I also thought that was fire. Now that you said that, right?
Yeah, look at my mind. Look at Otto.
I wasn't even born when that comic came out. But guess what? I was born when this one came out.
There you go. And then when the next one comes out in 50 years, you'll be like, oh, I remember when I read that issue. Yeah.
I liked when also like Superman just gets done like rocking Dr. Octopus with it, right? And he just goes, the first thing, doesn't strike back at him. He just says, because when Clark tells him, like you said, that he was a brilliant scientist, he just goes, you remember that? And that's all.
You heard that?
That's all. That's all he needed, right? That's all he needed. Just to be like, wow, someone does give a crap, and like real?
All ego, Octopus. All ego, Otto Octavius. That sounds pretty good.
Meanwhile, on the other side of it, you have Brainiac just screaming at Spider-Man as he's like doing the quips and kicking him and punching him. Yeah. And
he has all these mathematical equations. At one point, he finds the exact soft spot on a building to come have it crashing down, and when it comes crashing down, it hurts inside. So Spider-Man's dealing with that. But similarly, Brainiac's like, how are you this fast? How are you this quick? With all his mathematical equations, he just doesn't understand Spider-Man, which I think also is just going to be a tip in the hat of the power scalers out there when they're like, oh, Brainiac couldn't predict, and he,
what I'm saying?
Got outmaneuvered by old Pete. But I love the line. He's like, oh my God, you're so fast, you're so quick. And he's like, well, you know what they say, with great power comes great responsibility.
Responsibility. That shit was tough.
I've kind of heard that joke before, but actually being put in there, I think that Chef's kiss. Especially like one of the most endearing parts of this character is his ability to quip while he's still in the middle of all this stuff here. But yeah, on the ground, Spider-Man battles Brainiac, who ends up dropping. He drops like a building on him or something like that. Was it just tech scenery?
I think he drops. He brings. No, he brings like
there was the ship.
I'm looking now too.
It was the ship.
No. The ship just hasn't come down yet. Right now, he's gonna say something like, "I've looked for the soft spot in this wall or something, and I'm gonna use it to have it coming
Oh,
crashing down on him.
he's estimating the stress points of a building. So yeah, it is a
But it is a
building that
building.
brings
Yeah,
down
drops a
on him.
whole
Yeah,
ass,
yeah, yeah.
drops a whole ass
Building on
building on his
him.
ass.
Yeah.
I thought it was, but I wasn't 100% sure. So while that is happening, Brainiac, and I had to triple read this because I'm taking notes, right? Brainiac just abandons his physical form. He's like, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm out of here.
he goes, and
He
then his
uploads his
body just
consciousness
fucking
and dips. Yeah.
drops.
He's like, I'm going.
I thought the panel after they show Spidey under the rubble was fucking hilarious because you see Brainiac's body
Just
on
dipping.
the ground, but you also see the shade of purple that shows how fast he fucking hit the ground.
Yeah, he's like, save the cloud, yes, and he just goes up. He goes up to the cloud. His ass is gone, and so he's also done like a dead man switch thing where his ship is careening towards the metropolis, and if it makes contact, everybody's a goner. And so you have this thing where, I mean, Mark Waid's a genius because he's able to take two of the most iconic images of these characters, right? Superman stopping something from crashing down, which
Right.
has happened 500,000 times, but I think of Superman Returns with Brandon Routh in the plane, right? How he's able to take that thing and just kind of
amazing Superman scene.
Yeah, and so like you have that amazing scene paired with the amazing homage to Spider-Man lifting up the machinery,
lifting up the whole,
going there, and you have not only do you have them going on simultaneously, as I joked around on Facebook,
complete with the Parker luck because of the empty web fluid.
Yeah.
There we go.
And also showing why that is such a necessary foil to himself. Like I know there's a lot of organic web fans out there, but I really like the idea that sometimes his webs kind of screw him, thus making the drama bigger. So you have this moment. He's like, "Oh yeah, because it's like a switch right out of his reach, right?" So he's like, "Oh, I got that switch. Oh damn, I ain't got no webs."
always is. Oh damn, and then it's like, now what the fuck is gonna happen? Shit.
And as I joked on Facebook, it just so happens that Superman saying he believes in you triples your strength, your HP, your XP, all that stuff, and Superman just telling Spider-Man that he believes in him gives this man enough encouragement to lift this building off of him.
Hell
yeah. And triggered that shutdown switch. As a matter of fact,
Superman, your attributes go 20 up.
Bro, look at that.
All the bars.
You understand? My boy said an extinction level event was not on my calendar. You know what I'm saying? Like, and yeah, these are the guys who push through. These guys are the guys who are resilient. These are the guys that are not going to give up. So just having them panel, like those two side panels, having them together like that in the midst of all this just really meant something to me as a fan of these guys as long as I've been. But the world is safe because he ends up flipping the switch, and the two icons share a quiet moment. But both of these, they make a small talk. But both of these points I find incredibly interesting. One of them being, "Hey, why do you keep selling?" There's another panel too of them pushing that stuff up. Really, really amazing stuff. Jorge Jimenez had an absolute blast on this. Is really, really good art. But they have a conversation about like, why are you selling photos to a newspaper that trashes you? Like you keep kind of putting them in.
The response to that was elite.
Yeah, right? He's like, they paid for my college.
It was one of the best parts. Yeah.
He said, "By the way,
it was one of the best parts of the issue, I think. Like just that conversation of Clark just not understanding, like, dude, all this guy does is shit all over you every single day. Like, why? Well, he literally paid for my entire education, so screw him. I love it.
That was really good. And then on the flip side, I never even thought that he would feel this way, but obviously, like, watching this, but the whole idea of, like, you're lucky, bro. Your city loves you. Like, I never thought about that, like, how lucky Clark is. I guess we talked about it a little bit off air, Russ, what the world looks like when they don't like Superman or they second-guess Superman.
Right.
But this is a Spider-Man that's like, wow, you guys, and Spider-Man's being a little bit facetious right now because New York loves you, bro. Don't get it twisted. Jay Jonah may say some stuff. Damage Control may show up, bro. We got that. Look, I got the I Love comic book shirt exclusive at our TeePublic or Printful shops over there. But it's obviously mimicked off I Love New York because we love Spider-Man, and I hope he feels that. But I love Clark's response to that. He's like, the city loves you, and he goes, yeah, the feeling's mutual. I'm like, aw, you little bastard. Like, you're all being a little cute right now. And then this idea of like, I want you to take me around Metropolis, like stop being a stick in the mud and take me around here. And he's like, yeah, let's first go to the Superman Museum.
Right. Or my favorite part of that too is like he doesn't just like Spider-Man doesn't just swing after Superman. He attaches a web to Superman's foot, and Superman literally pulls him.
Like, we out, bro. Let's go.
Like, yeah, like, like, hang on, I'll take you. Like, there's just something so endearing about that too. Like, all right, hang on, I got you.
That's another thing I didn't say, right? Is this idea that there's another running joke in here that Superman's incredibly fast. And so everywhere they go, Superman is getting there first. And he's like, yo, hold the hell on. So for this adventure, he's like, you know what? I'm not even going to try to keep up with you. I'm just going to web your leg and you'll take me wherever the hell we're going to go. So that is funny. And then, yeah, he says, well, I'll take you to the Superman Museum. And if you're Spider-Man and you know that exists, it's like, of course, there's a Superman Museum. Of course, we all love Superman. Exhibit or whatever. Meanwhile, Mask or Menace or whatever the hell's going on my side in New York. Really, really funny stuff. Where do you guys rank that main story in the pantheon of the stories in this?
Of this whole thing?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be. It is all blind ranking stuff. High.
Look,
yeah.
It's
number one.
Yeah, it's the first one. It features both of them. I mean, heavily. It's a really fantastic story, and it shows what you can do. Even you don't need 95 pages to tell a story, right?
Yeah,
you can tell a great story within just a few pages. And like, props to the entire creative team here for banging this one out in the length that they were given and what they told in that length they were given. Like, I've been reviewing World's Finest and Action Comics for the site, so I've been reading a lot of Mark Waid stuff, and he understands like more than a lot of other writers. He understands the characters that he writes so well. Like his stuff on Action right now with Superman, with like seeing his time as Superboy, and his stuff showing the relationship growing between Superman and Batman and World's Finest. Like, he was a perfect choice for a story like this because of how he understands the characters that he writes. And,
yeah, I mean, he quite literally wrote the book on the history of the DC universe, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
So I oftentimes am my jaw drops at the sheer ease in which some of these elder statesmen can come in and just get the job done because they know how to do the job. Like, I could see a younger writer almost buckling under the pressure of this. And Mark's like, those are my two friends. I know Spider-Man. I know Superman. I know what kind of story those two guys would get into there.
Yeah.
So really, really dug that there. Jarvis, anything else you want to say on the story here?
I'm just in awe, bro, because I wouldn't have I knew what I was getting myself into, but I didn't think I was gonna be fanning over this though as much as I did, especially the past couple of years with whatchamacall, with Soups. You know how I felt about Soups at one point. I felt he was just too good for everything.
Yeah.
Until one day I was just like, you know what? Fuck that. I gotta see what makes Soups tick. And same thing makes Spidey tick, more or less, bro. Yeah. I feel like they just
and I didn't realize it until the Superboy Prime story, but they also have like an alien element at one point to them.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So I was like, oh, wow. I didn't even think about that. The next one, I'm gonna tell the events a little bit out of sequence, but it's because it's an incredibly short story. This is
The Booze. You talk about The Booze?
The Booze, the World's Finest, featuring Lois Lane and Mary Jane Watson. This is written by Tom King, Jim Lee, art by Jim Lee, inks by Scott Williams, and colors by Alex Sinclair. So this has to do with Mary Jane and Lois Lane. I just realized that kind of rhymes. It just hit me right now in my head. I was like, am I getting one of them wrong? I was like, am I getting one of them wrong? Because it sounds samey in my head. Yeah. Lois Lane, Mary
Jane.
You heard it?
Then you hit the bongos. They find themselves literally hanging on for dear life as they're on a bus dangling off the side of a bridge. Turns out that they are being accosted by a Sentinel, of all things. Let me put these bustling beauties on the screen. There you go. Old Lois Lane and Mary Jane. Instead of waiting to be rescued, the two iconic women use the high-stakes adrenaline to bond over the unique trauma and absurdity of their lives. They trade stories about the countless times they've been targeted by colorful, villains of all sorts, acknowledging that while their partners have powers, they are the ones that have to navigate the whole emotional toll of loving men who constantly risk everything for strangers. There's a cute little moment where Jim Lee manages to sneak in a fastball special with with Superman and Spider-Man.
With their
that was one of the
fastball
pages. Jarvis, we were talking before how you're saying this book took you so long to read because you're just staring at stuff.
Yeah,
dude,
bro.
Never in my life did I get to think I would see Superman throw Spider-Man at a Sentinel's head, and that was one of the coolest things, right? Just got him, just wham, ready to go.
It ends up being established.
You definitely know Spidey told Superman about that after running into Wolverine.
But also something too that Spidey probably tells Superman was, "Don't throw me too hard because you'll literally kill me."
Yes,
so,
that's a fact. But he does. It's funny. He throws him, and then he does after he hits the Sentinel. He does say, "Ow!"
Ouch.
yeah. Well, it gets told later on. We don't know it up front, but it gets told later on. This is like one of the most indestructible versions of a Sentinel. So the idea of Superman throwing Spider-Man as hard as he can at basically
and giving that motherfucker a concussion,
basically him hitting a brick wall is hilarious. But I think the reason why it's the most funny is all of this is in the background. We're in the middle of a conversation between Lois and
while they handle business,
Mary Jane at this time. I thought it was a bit crazy because they're talking the whole thing about like, my boy has a thing for bridges because of Gwen Stacy. And it was like,
I thought that was fucking hilarious.
Old college girlfriend, and then Lois is like, because Alana Lang. She's like, these fucking old college girlfriends.
And I said to myself, I'm like, why is he being so lovey-dovey? And then I realized, I'm like, they're on the fucking bridge. Duh, of course, I would be too.
Not again.
I know. I've seen that moment online. People are like discussing that joke a lot online, or that part a lot about online, but I get it. I understand both sides of that.
I'm fine.
Like, ultimately, in the context, like, she's talking to her friend about something that happened. Like, it's not being glorified in any way. It's not like it's taken out of like way crazy. So, like, in the moment, it's fine. I feel like people have made kind of like too big a deal about that line a little bit online.
It would be the same.
People do online, right?
It would be the absolute same if, for whatever reason, in the ramp up to getting married, Poison Ivy's like, "Hey, what kind of jewelry can I buy you for your wedding?" And Catwoman's like, "Not pearls. Whatever you do, don't give me pearls." I don't know why Bruce flips out over pearls. It's not insensitive. It doesn't mean anything to her. Just like it wouldn't really mean much to MJ. I think Gwen was like a classmate, but it's not hitting the same. But the Lana stuff makes me laugh because I feel like Lana's a little bit more harmless than Gwen. Maybe I've not read enough Lana Lang. Is she Guard's one true love? Is she like?
I would say Lana would be less harmful to Lois and Clark's relationship than if suddenly Gwen popped back up and into Peter and MJ's. I think I can agree with you there for sure. Because like there's that age-old debate, right? Who is the soulmate for Spider-Man? Gwen Stacy or Mary Jane? And like Gwen Stacy, for Marvel's most part, we're going to ignore all that stuff with Norman and all that weird crap that happened in the early 2000s. We haven't, like, Gwen Stacy's actually been gone for like a pretty long time in the main. So like, again, like we're saying, people made kind of too big a deal about that part. In the context, it worked. It was fine.
That's why I chose to get both Funkos.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you
go.
But
I know we're probably gonna get to it in a second because it's on that same panel where we find out the Sentinel's indestructible. That same page. The cameo in this one was
that cameo was fire, and
the cameo was
very
fire.
Surprised.
Talk about out of nowhere. But I also wanted to give you this piece of knowledge, Russ. I was at MegaCon, and I was at the Amazing Spider-Man 1000 panel because Jarvis, Amazing Spider-Man, is about to hit 1,000 month issues. Detective Comics did it, Action Comics did it, and now we're getting ready for Amazing Spider-Man to do so as well. And
time to drain our wallets on all those covers.
All those covers.
I'm getting ready, bro.
Talk about a love letter to the character, and that'll be. I want to say it's this year. I may have gotten that wrong.
I think it is. I think it is. I think it is this year. And I was just gonna say I think it's also soon.
We're like at 997 or something like that. I think legacy wise, or 996 or something. I could be getting it wrong. But the writer of the current run of Amazing Spider-Man, Joe Kelly, who we also interviewed on as part of Major Discourse, he was there at the panel. And so it's time for Q&A, and I get up on the up on the panel, whatever, get up on the microphone. Everyone else is asking all these like really interesting questions, and some of them are asking the questions that I want to ask. And eventually, when it comes to me, all I can think of to ask him is, so everyone else is seemingly fine with MJ and Spider-Man being together. Why can't they be together? Like, what's going on with this? Because everyone is fine with Superman and Lois. You know, everyone is fine with all these other like legacy character, not legacy characters, like characters with legacy that have moved on. I know a lot of the comic book space is about keeping the superhero in the second act. None of these are finishing, right? So you can't tell the end of the story, but it never seems like Spider-Man has, like you keep flirting around with this MJ stuff. What am I missing? Are they soulmates or are they not? And Joe Kelly was one to say, and it's funny because I was auto recording the panel so I could transcribe it for news. And right when I asked my question, my recorder cut off. But yeah, Joe's answer was exactly what you said, that as of reading as much of Amazing Spider-Man as he did, there's just as much of an argument that Gwen was Peter's soulmate and the one he'll never get over. Even pointing to things like Spider-Man Blue, right? Where like that's Spider-Man writing a letter to Gwen, but MJ's fully aware that he's writing that letter to the law, not the one that got away, but literally the one that will never come back.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a bit of a softball answer, like an ability to not answer the question that I just asked. But I did not know that there was such a big part of the fandom that believes that it was always supposed to be Gwen and Peter. And it just became Gwen and MJ because Gwen ends up dying. They were getting so close they were going to marry each other, Gwen and Peter, before Gwen died. I say all that to say that, but they still show them here. Like it's odd for me to consider MJ to be on the same level as Lois if y'all keep playing around with where MJ places in Spider-Man's life. That's, I guess, that's the conflict I guess I was trying to speak on, is that even in something like this, which is supposed to be like a new reader's entry, but then you go and you read Death Spiral, you read Amazing Spider-Man, and it's like, oh, they're not dating. They haven't dated for a very long time. They're almost like on complete opposite sides. I think at one point it was even suggested she date Flash. I think her Venom symbiote was like, hey, are you into Flash Thompson or whatever like that? And I'm just like, what is going on here? I want to see MJ at that same level, but I can only ever see variants of her at that same level. Like Ultimate Spider-Man, MJ and Lois Lane, I think would be best fucking friends.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think that those two really,
but
kinda...
you know what's crazy about that? When I first turned the page to this issue for the story, I kind of slightly got Ultimate vibes just from the illustrations and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where I thought, but I'm just glad that's how it made me feel, because I haven't seen the artwork in a little while.
At one point, she says something like, ugh, and everyone just whittles me down to being the girl who says, face the tiger, you've hit the jackpot. And later on, that's like one of her last lines to Peter. It's like, isn't that the jackpot, Peter? Isn't that the jackpot you've hit or whatever? But you're right. They're like, oh, these things are indestructible. It has to be here because there's an actual mutant here. Because Spider-Man's not a mutant. Superman's not a mutant. It's here because of a mutant.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, no one else is gonna check because of us, because they're too busy throwing each other at the robot. So we need to go and find out who this mutant is. And we see a 2-fingered gloved man searching a car for something.
Who could that be?
And cursing underneath his breath in French. And that man is also the one that suggests that the only way to stop this being is to basically douse
blow him up
with tons and tons of kinetic energy. Kinetic energy, French, 2-finger gloves. You start putting it together, and you get to see, boom, it's Gambit. And Jim Lee as a Gambit, as an X-Men artist for years,
mm-hmm.
He was loving.
He was gonna write the shit out of him.
Yeah, and another thing is he is, he's like only DC now. He is the president of DC. So the idea that he got to play with one of his old toys, I had to, really make him happy.
You did.
In terms of doing this. And look, I mean, I don't have the panel up, but in the panel where Gambit is throwing his cards. Mary Jane is too cool for school. She got shades on in the
Word up, I
background.
like that. I like that
She
shit.
got
That shit
shades on in the
fire.
background, and she's chilling. I love, and I didn't know this. I had to go back and do a bunch of reading. I love that Mary Jane's like a hot girl. I love that she's like at the parties, at the clubs.
At least got hot girl tendencies.
Yeah,
dude,
she's like model actress. Like she's always in like all of like I think Lois says in the beginning of the intro, she's like, I see you on all the magazine covers.
Yeah.
All the time. So yeah, she's A-list. Meanwhile, Peter rubbing dimes together whenever he can. Like
that's why she was such a jerk to him in those movies. She's like, I'm on Broadway. Like, what are you doing, bro? Got fired from the pizza spot. What's going on here? And I think this is another kind of thing that they're trying to say, because they eventually get to their loved ones, and both of them are like, oh my god, like you delicate thing, and both of the girls are like, this happens every Tuesday. Like there's this like feeling of like
regular shit. There's
this definitely feeling of love and gratefulness for being saved. There's also this layer of like, this happens all the time. But what I love is the literal final image of them walking into the sunset. Just the silhouettes, Superman and Lois and MJ and Spider-Man. But it also ends with like a little circle of Gambit, like, what up? And that's all, folks.
The end.
Well, that's all, les amis. That was great. Yeah,
that was really good. I found this one to be harmless. I found I found the background art to be a lot of what carries this for me. I started this off air telling Russell that I didn't grow up a humongous fan of Superman, but I've in the last 5 years become a tremendous fan of Lois Lane, aside from Superman as well. So I have a really high regard for Lois. People gonna kick me in the comments. My Lois is Bitsy Tulik, is the Lois from Superman and Lois, who stand there and tell him off if he's acting up or acting, she ain't scared of none of that. So I got that feistiness in here, and I got that feistiness in comics for years. MJ, I still can't get a beat on. And I blame it on multiple things, whether it be the animated series making a clone of her out of water and then her disappearing at the end of that, whether it be the Raimi films making her kind of like flighty towards him and dating almost every guy around him, and then coming to comics when I got into it and finding out about One More Day, which we'll cover in the run up to Brand New Day.
Just hearing that gives me.
That's what I'm saying. But that's the encapsulation of the last 25 years of those people in media. So I don't see them on the same tier. They probably should be. But if someone at Marvel is upset with the fact that I don't see them at the same tier, my fault. Right? Yeah. Get her where she needs to be. Stop playing around.
To what you're saying, George, like I remember when the Spider-Man movie, the new one, like they showed the title and like everyone's like, oh yeah, like all my friends that don't read the books, like Spider-Man, new Spider-Man. And I looked at the title and I was like, oh
yeah, what are they about to do?
I was like, oh, and everyone's like, nah, man, what's Spider-Man? And I was like, you guys don't understand. I was like, like that title, like that sends shivers down people's spines now. Like, yeah.
I also I absolutely adore. You talk about your love for BVS. That's my love for the Amazing Spider-Man series, even though I know especially 2 is bogged down by a bunch of crap. But when you talk about like key couples in comics, you cannot beat Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone in those roles as Peter and Gwen. I was like, this is the chemistry of off the charts in comparison to all the other depictions. I felt like, so love Lois. I mean, love MJ. I love that she's in here, but I think it just reminds me that Marvel needs to put more respect on her name and decide where they want her for this. I know the Venom stuff is fun, but gotta go to work. The next story here is a very funny one. This is is Pages featuring Superboy Prime and Symbiote Spider-Man, written by Christopher Priest, art by Daniel Sampere. I hope I'm saying that right. And Alejandro Sanchez is on colors. And so we have Peter in Chelsea, New York, coming home, and he realizes that there's somebody there messing around with his symbiote suit, and they're in his underwear. Turns out it's Superboy Prime. He needs help because he is trapped in a dimension, and he's telling Peter that he needs him to help him like break out of it. Meanwhile, while this is happening, they're having like casual conversation. It's really kind of cool. Is the word I want to use for it. Maybe I got the wrong tone for what they were trying to show here, but they're like having this conversation about what each other does and the effectiveness of each other. But they're also saving people while doing it. So that the Superboy Prime is saving a dog, but an entire car is crashing on his back. Stuff like that.
while he's speaking.
Yeah, and they're just chatting. Yeah. But Prime ends up grabbing him and bringing him through this astral plane, sort of. He calls it a phosphorylation event. Might be getting that.
But he punches. I guess reality. The air and the reality, and he just breaks through it.
But even
and then he has more explaining to do to Spidey, because Spidey's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. You're
telling me you've never seen anyone punch through reality? I mean, come on, man.
My boy Jason Todd did it once. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that for free. But even when I saw these covers coming out, like I was really interested in seeing what these two would have anything to do with each other or anything in common. And I guess the thing that they have in common is they dipped a little bit in villainy. I mean, Superboy Prime killed people, but you get what I'm saying? Like they didn't stay on the villainy side. And so it is revealed that Prime is trapped in a universe that is being ruled by the High Evolutionary, or a version of the High Evolutionary. And it is decided that he is going to, and it says, Inspired ASM Annual number 18. Is that the one that came out recently? Is High Evolutionary in the most recent annual? I don't believe so. Spider-Man. But
I'm not sure either.
I have to double check. I don't know if they were referencing something that happened very recently or something in Spider-Man's lore. If it's annual and it's annual number 18 and they come out every year, it might not be that recent. I think that's a fair mathematical equation I've just done in my head. But I love that they end up having a battle. I love the analogy of the fireman, right? I thought I wanted to be a fireman, but what I really wanted to do was ride the truck. Because fires are scary. And Heat is almost even calling him out as a cosplayer. Like, you have all the looks of a superhero, but you obviously are more focused on yourself. And you don't embody any of the things that a superhero is supposed to embody. So what are you actually doing here? And at one point, Prime literally says, I just wanted to ride the truck. Like he tries to abandon him there with the High Evolutionary and stuff. I love that Peter webs the High Evolutionary's eyes.
Yeah, that's like 50
foot tall, and he's like, you're like, oh, spit in your face. Like, this is all I got. I am slightly confused as to what the events happened as a result of this, but I know it is decided that they will help each other go through the various realities and save the people that are trapped in this weird dimension. Called, they named it something. I feel like I saw. The library. But I guess there's a black panel there that's called the library there. What do you guys perceive happened here? What am I getting wrong here? Is that
I was kind of with you. Like, I was a little confused with this one. I had to go back and like reread it, like what exactly he needed help with, or what was going on, or what he was breaking out with. But at the end of the day, with these two, especially with Superboy Prime, you never really know what he's gonna do next because of his his world hopping abilities with these two. So I think where I'm at with this story is like, I just want to see where the journey is going to be. I don't even know where this is all going to end up. I just want to see what other hijinks are going to happen with these two as they continue to, hopefully, if it continues the next month in Spider-Man, Superman, where these two will end up. I just want to see what the journey is like with these two.
Yeah, Superboy Prime be having intrusive thoughts, and he be
all the time.
Intrusive thoughts.
Oh yeah, all the time.
I can already fucking tell.
I'm gonna go ahead and try to do a speed run. Russ, interrupt me at any point if I've gotten any of this wrong. Superboy Prime is a Superman from another universe that when Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, him and a couple of other people from other universes, all the Earths smashed into one. But there was 5 survivors who survived. I think the number is 5. Who survived?
Yeah, you have. There was older Superman who was just Kal Kal-El, not E-L, just L.
Just L.
From there was him, his Lois Lane. Oh God, I read it so long
Alex.
ago. I feel it. Yeah, Alex.
And I want to say it's just them four. It's Lex and Superboy.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah.
And so Superboy's from a universe where there is comics, right? That's the whole idea.
Yeah, he's from a world where they only existed as fictional characters.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I think he's from somewhere where they're only in their books.
Yeah. And so for years, for decades, while there's only one Earth, him and everyone else who are survivors are just watching the events of the universe. And so they watch the Attitude Era of DC Comics.
Right.
Where everything goes to shit, right? Where Wonder Woman kills Maxwell Lord, where Batman creates Brother Eye, which is the OMAC project that, basically almost destroys the entire world, that AI that he ends up building. And they're like, you know what? We saved the wrong Earth. It should have been our Earth. Y'all messed all this up. We thought we were doing the right job by y'all and giving y'all this Earth. And no, screw that. So Superboy Prime kind of gets like bloodlusted because he's like, this is the life I was supposed to live. I've been living in like a pocket dimension this entire time. And I was supposed to be out living a regular life. I was a regular kid. You robbed all this from me. And so he has Superman's powers. And I think he goes to like hustle with the Titans and ends up killing like two of them by accident. Like rips off one of their arms. And
I think he kills Connor. I'm pretty sure.
Later on, he has a thing with Connor, but I think he either kills or maims Wildebeest at one point. Like he rips off an arm, and he's literally like saying, like, I can't stop it, but they're now the Titans are on him. They're all on him, and he's knocking them, willy nilly, side to side, whatever. The speedsters gang up on him.
Oh,
it's Wally, it's Impulse, it's Jay Garrick, and they're grabbing him and they're running him, and they're like, you know what? We're gonna trap this up in the Speed Force.
Yeah,
that's the only thing we can do. Yeah. That's the only thing we can do for this. So they're running. Jay Garrick trips because he's old and he can't hang anymore. Yeah. And even Impulse is like, I don't know if I got this, whatever. So Wally's like, I'm gonna try it, and then the spirit of Barry Allen shows up.
And Barry Allen that's when that happens.
Barry Allen comes through.
I didn't. Oh, what the fuck? I did not.
Jarvis,
what the hell?
If you haven't read this, bro. If you haven't read this, bro, you gotta read it. You gotta check it out.
So I didn't know it was Superboy Prime that happens with. Yeah. I've seen pictures and panels from that same fucking story, and for some reason I never ran into Superboy Prime seeing a couple of those panels. So I'm listening to it. I'm like, fuck.
So he's literally like a whiny kid getting pushed into a locker.
Yeah,
They run him through, boom. Open and shut case. The Speed Force portal closes. It is what it is. They're dealing with bigger fish to fry. The universes are collapsing again. The Earths are smashing into each other. As they're dealing with all this, and the Earths are smashing into each other, whatever, the Speed Force portal opens. Barry shows up. He goes, he's out. And Superboy Prime shows up in the armor. You see him with the tubes and shit, having crafted them in the Speed Force or done whatever. And now he's here to kill. Now he's it's over. It's a wrap. He got an
attitude.
Yeah, and he's here to kill. And there's eventually he ends up getting beaten and captured and put on Oa.
Yeah, because he joins the Sinestro Corps during the Sinestro Corps War.
Later on. But there's a panel where he burns
even crazier.
There's a panel where he burns the S onto his chest. Like, I can't take it away from me. Like, I don't care if y'all put me in jail. I'm still Superman. I say all this to say that he is currently taking over Clark's duties in Superman right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And people have all kinds of opinions on it because of who he is and what he's done and what I just said about murdering Titans and all that other kind of stuff. And so, at one point, and this I might get wrong, Russ, and then we'll get right back into everything else. At one point, they trap him on an Earth where he is just a regular person, right? That can be on message boards and
know.
and talk shit about comics. So that's how he has like this other kind of. He has another sort of layer to him where he's a little bit of a comic book edgelord, kind of like.
He also has some other moments where he. I think it was during Death Metal, or it was either during Death Metal or it was during like one of the tie-ins for Death Metal where he fights the Batman Who Laughs at one point too.
Yeah,
which is
for Crypto.
Yep. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
hell
yeah.
no!
He
Yeah, he
I
got
want
to
to
get
say he
got.
dies for Crypto or something very so like he's very whatever hurt, and it's Crypto looking at him like, bro, we got this if you want to. You know what I'm
And then
saying? Like,
he
if you want to
gets
be a
Y'all
baby
already,
face, if you want to be a
y'all
baby
already
face, we
know
got
I'm a
this.
sucker for the. I'm a
Huge,
sucker
yeah.
for the buddies, man.
huge
And then
baby face turn.
because he helps defeat the Batman who laughs, he gets to go back to his
That's what
home
it is.
reality and he gets forgiven for his like everything he's done and people welcome him back. So yeah, he's cool.
Yeah.
He's been through he's a
Okay,
character that's for lack of a better word,
I'll
he's been
definitely,
through the shit. He's been through the
I'll
shit.
definitely give him a chance then, especially
Yeah.
with what the fucking speedsters
He's
try to do to him.
he's also somebody that's been like he has like a stunted maturity because he's been stuck.
Yeah.
He's been for a
like
very long time. That's why he says the whole like, "Am I gonna keep it 100?" I think he literally says that in this comic.
he did, yeah, he did some,
like-
he said some 2025
He
bullshit
says
in there
facts.
that's not
He
worth
says
repeating.
facts. Can I keep it 100?
God.
And again, if it wasn't Christopher Priest, I don't think I'd be. I don't think I'd be letting it go.
Oh yeah, what he says to because of the language he goes, let me go, let's just take the L.
Yeah,
That's what he said. Yep.
Yeah.
I said, I looked back, I said, take the hell.
Take the hell, yeah.
That was really funny. Did I have an image for that? I think I might have had a. Yeah, I just going through my this image of him grabbing Peter by the collar and smashing him into whatever the fuck reality is up
Also,
next.
like when Peter first catches him in the apartment, he's talking to the symbiotes.
Yes.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
reaching for it.
He's like, why is this
That's
a weird dude
amazing.
in his underwear talking to my suit?
Also, man, I would have loved to have seen the design if we got it of the symbiote
I
going
was
on to
just gonna
Superboy
say, could
Prime.
you imagine
Oh yeah.
what that's probably like? Oh
Yeah.
Also, you want to talk about arguments for the power scaler crowd? Oh my God!
Yes.
Symbiote Superboy
Superman.
Prime, get
Yeah.
out of here, man!
Absolutely bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Off the charts. We got Beyond the Cobwebs of Tomorrow featuring Superboy and Spider-Man 2099. This is written and drawn by Sean Murphy with colors by Simon Go. I love Sean Murphy's art. I'm a big fan of
yeah, the art was sick.
I'm a big fan of Curse of the White Knight, which is funny. Curse of the White Knight, and don't mind me saying this, is Yogi's BVS to other people. He hates Curse of the White Knight because he thinks that the premise of if Joker was saying Batman would be the villain is kind of silly. But I also think similar to BVS, like go a little bit deeper. There's more that they're saying there, and once you have the idea that this is a completely different universe,
yeah,
it hurts a bit less. But in this story here, it's basically Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara, and he's going around Gotham, I believe. It's a weird like double. Right? Like at one point he's in Gotham, at one point he's in Alchemex in New York or whatever, but he ends up kind of getting stopped by Superman, who's talking to somebody off screen. And the two kind of tussle as they usually do when these moments happen where these heroes meet for the first time. They fight for a bit and then they become friends. But he's going out of his way. Like they start asking each other, like, why are you here? Where are you from? You're obviously a time traveler of some sort. He's like, yeah, I'm from the Earth on 2099 where Doom becomes a tremendous a tyrant basically, and I have to go back. I'm coming back in time to 2039 to stop a merger from happening. LexCorp and Alchemist. And Superboy's there, and he's like, oh yes, I'm also a time traveler. I guess this is the one specifically from Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah, I think he mentions that a little later that he's from the Legion of Superheroes era, that he's from the 30th century. So he's the future Superboy or whatever.
He's the future Superboy is still a boy. So it's a weird kind of, like
comics.
Yes, comics 100%. I loved that Spider-Man's like, I can hear the tech or whatever, and Batman Beyond's like, damn it, like he can hear us. I didn't know he could hear us. But you did have I did pop for Batman Beyond. I did pop for
I pop for Beyond.
I popped for Miguel O'Hara saying that your teeth looks weird in the suit.
That was the best.
That made me laugh.
George, that was just coming up. I think that was the best one-liner of the entire anthology, where he says to Batman Beyond, he goes, "I just want to talk," and Terry goes, "Sorry, I can't talk to you. The way your teeth show through your mask is freaking me out."
Yeah,
I laughed at that so hard. That was great.
That's super hilarious. It's funny because those are another two characters that it seems obviously like on the face of it, but I heard that Spider-Man Unlimited was supposed to be Spider-Man 2099. That cartoon.
It was. I read that
Mm-hmm.
actually recently too, and I think it was again some rights issue or something. I
Yeah,
don't remember
so it ends
exactly
up
what
being
it
a
was.
weird
but yeah.
amalgamation where it kind of takes some of the design, but it doesn't. Meanwhile, Batman pumps out Batman Beyond. And it's able to do basically Spider-Man 2099. Like there's a Spider-Man 2099 comic that had been doing it for years, but they can't do it in animation. So DC jumps the gun, gets theirs out, and then it becomes a beloved future series of a future version of a beloved hero. Really, really cool stuff. But yeah, they're both here to stop big business. Maybe that's the overall thing I'm supposed to learn from this.
Another timely storyline in this anthology.
The world will end. They're trying to stop Google and Amazon from becoming one company with Disney, or else the world will end. So they had decided they're gonna team up together. And that's basically how the story ends. I had a lot of fun with the art here, but the story was a little dry. But again, with the amount of pages that some of these people get, like
you got to make the best of it. Yeah.
Yeah. What can you do here?
Even if you think it's chicken shit, now it's your job to turn it into chicken salad.
100%. 100%. I don't know.
This one was really fun though. I really.
I just want to get this out before we even turn the page on this.
Yeah.
Miguel.
Miguel O'Hara.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that whole thing going on about I said something. Yeah. No. Ridiculous. Anyway, there was a thing going around on the internet that we posted about and even got some traction there. Where they're saying that the Omni-Man suit was always white. It was always blue. It was always blue. It was always blue.
I saw this recently. Yeah.
Yes, and a lot of people thought that it was blue, white with like a blue tint to it, like because he was in the sky, you had a blue tint. And Ryan Otley was like, "Nah, it's always been blue." And
could have fooled me with that one, but
well, then it started to get said that that's the same thing with Miguel. That Miguel was never intended to be blue; he was intended to be black and red, and the blue was the highlights, similar to Venom.
The Venom.
And then people just dug him as blue, and now he's just bright blue. Now he's just blue. But I like the idea that he evolved over time. I think the blue works better.
Good for them then.
Yeah, good.
All right, good for them.
You beefing with Miguel because he told Miles he had to kill his pops? Is that where I'm getting this animosity from?
One of them.
Huh?
One of them.
Hey, bro, canon event. Can't stop that shit. Anyway.
One of the cool things, and it's such a minor detail. It's such a minor detail of the story, but one of the cool things is when they show, when Miguel's talking about Doom, you see like the 2099 group or the 2099 designs.
I thought that was cool.
So Jarvis, I'm a big Hulk guy. George knows this too, but it was really cool to see the 2099 design of Hulk again, even just for that panel, because he's got like these sick claws and this crazy looking like lizard almost kind of like thing going on. And like I always really dug that design, even though there's not a lot of issues with him in it, but it was cool to see that like the 2099 heroes are still out there.
You know what's
that
funny?
Group is still doing their thing.
I feel the same. I feel somewhat of the same way because although I have beef with Miguel O'Hara because I just don't fuck with him. I am a fan of the 2099
Universe.
Homies, yeah. So when I do see them and I do pop up, it does stop me in my tracks, and I like to admire them, because it's fucking cool. Now you, Miguel.
Our next story is our cruelest story.
This one was.
You heard? Do the job, Jimmy.
Someone gave Matt Fraction this one, and he was like, "All right, we're gonna take this. Yes. We're gonna take this somewhere."
And you know what it was like, the thorn in the paw, the piece of popcorn in the tooth here for writer Matt Fraction, because like I said, it's Matt Fraction and Steve Lieber, colors by Nathan Farbarn. I hope I'm saying that right. Jimmy and Carnage. what's in Matt Fraction's craw is the freaking hyphen. The hyphen.
Oh my god, the best part of this is that running joke with the hyphen in this.
I think it is the joke. I think it's the plot. For some reason, for the sin of not separating the words spider and man, Matt Fraction murders Jimmy Olsen.
You get your ass beat, and you know what? I agree. In 2026, if you forget the hyphen, you know what I'm saying?
That's what Matt Fraction's saying to me. That's what's coming out. That's what I feel like he's saying in this book is like
we too far ahead for all the BS.
There's a reason.
You can take the time if you're talking about Spider-Man. You could take the time to put the hyphen. You could take the 2 seconds to put the hyphen.
Yeah, and I always wanted to say at some point that's what they used to discern the difference between that Superman and Spider-Man header. Like I think Stan Lee would say like ours is the one with the hyphen or whatever. Like he would like. It'd be like a difference there. Even in the opening page, when you see J. Jonah Jameson talking to Jimmy Olsen, who's now on the case here, it looks like a passed out Stan Lee is next to both of them.
That's funny. That's cool.
And then that's Peter Parker. Later on, he'll call him Peter Piper because he'll get his name wrong. But Matt Fraction is one of the funniest comic book writers that I know. I think he just has a hell of a sense of humor. I read him on Sex Criminals. He was amazing on Hawkeye. Even in here, there's a panel in the background. It says, ABC, always be capturing photographs of Spider-Man.
I read that shit too.
And then it says, always be capturing photographs of Spider-Man. For me, your boss, J. Jonah Jameson, editor-in-chief of this newspaper, which is called the Daily Bugle, you useless, embarrassing donks. God, I hate you all so much. Why can't you all be like the large, heroic son who is an astronaut, but is also a werewolf on the moon, which is where it's always a full moon, and that being and thus being an astronaut and a werewolf particularly hard, and it just goes on from there. But this is just the kind of shit that
this was just I like the zaniness of this story.
Yeah,
I mean, even though where it goes is not so zany, but I feel like this was the one out of this anthology where this is just full on. I'm gonna have as much fun with this character as I can within these few pages as possible.
Yeah, and another thing is, it feels like a weird, uncomfortable juxtaposition between golden age storytelling and the ultraviolence of the 90s, because you have these thought bubbles that are explaining everything, right? Later on, when he sees Carnage, there's an entire off the fourth wall break narrator like. What God is there to whom you pray, Jimmy? And he goes to you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not Carnage speaking, it's not Jimmy speaking. It's like the old school golden age narrator who sees the whole thing that says, and then Spider-Man went to, the bank or whatever like that. It's the off the wall narrator. But real quick, J. Jonah Jameson is hiring Jimmy Olsen to get pictures of Spider-Man. Peter's there, but he's too busy with both girls. He's got both Gwen and MJ on his arm. And he's like, bro, it's Spider-Man, new guy. And he's like, do that, or you better put the hyphen in, or they're going to know that you're a tourist. And then he's like, well, I need help finding Spider-Man. He's like, just look for the big red gooey guy, and you'll end up finding him. So he goes down a back alley. He looks at the big red gooey guy. It is freaking Carnage. There are body parts in the alley. Because Carnage just murdered somebody. And it's Carnage. And Carnage not only murders him, but when asked why he is murdering him, he says because he both walked down a blind alley in Manhattan and he didn't hear a hyphen. And then he calls him a tourist. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, when is this going to turn? When is this going to, is Jimmy going to turn into a lizard? Is Jimmy going to, Jimmy's had a lot of weird adventures over these years, what is Superman's pal going to get into? But no, he is just murdered. He tries to contact Superman on his Apple Watch, but it has a firmware update, and that's what gets him killed. And so he's effectively murdered by one of the most violent criminals ever in Marvel Comics. And for some reason, J. Jonah's like, this is great, because now we can say that Spider-Man is a menace because we found this Carnage guy or whatever the heck, and he's like, I just gonna tell everybody that Jimmy's great. Did I miss it? That's it, right? Like, did I
No,
miss
that's
it?
it. Yeah,
That
no,
is
yeah.
it. That is
That
the
is
whole.
it.
That is the whole job right there,
Matt
bro.
Fraction decided he was gonna murk Jimmy Olsen, and
the
he
whole
damn
job
sure
right
did
there.
it.
You better say the hyphen. But yes, this right here where he says, "Oh my God, help me," and then it says, "What God is there to? What God is here to whom you pray, Jimmy Olsen? What sheltering hand of which benevolent force of wisdom and power exactly do you petition now with prayer? For what kind of divine entity could allow a naif like yourself to stumble unawares into the unsettling and eternally murderous maw of the bestial, bloody, psychotic monstrous that is Carnage, and still hear you? For if that God answers prayers, then surely more often than not, answers shall always be," and then it's cut off.
You heard?
Yeah, because then Jimmy gets assaulted.
Yes. Then Jimmy
Get
gets
his ass
assaulted.
whipped.
And they somehow have it both ways, where there's blood splatter, but there's also like the old school Scooby-Doo cloud where you just see hands
going
kind of
across,
hands
yeah.
and
Commotion, yeah.
and feet kicking and stuff. That's another thing that this story, how I felt like the story was speaking to me. It felt like a story about how odd it would be to merge those two time eras of comics, where one where you are murdering people and one where Jimmy's just having a silly adventure, found himself on the wrong side of the street. A quiet story, but of course, like Jeff Lemire is amazing at these really personal stories. The Bridge, featuring Pa Kent and Uncle Ben. Oh, did I? I don't think I showed people Carnage murdering
Jimmy Olsen.
Jimmy. There you go, people. Firmware updating. Oh fuck. And then slice him. He gets old sliced and diced there. But yeah, The Bridge I thought was very, very wholesome. Jeff Lemire is the writer. Rafa Sandoval is the artist. I love the art on Absolute Superman, so I love the art here. Really, really good stuff. Stuff he manages to do with color and shading is really, really, really cool. Especially
all his art seems to have this, like, especially on Absolute Superman, it has this, like, I don't know if this is the right word, but like there's a deepness to all his art. Like it feels super the art feels very heavy, but in a good way. Like there's a lot of emotion in his art. You can read it really, like, even I would say, even especially with The Bridge, even if there was no text in this part of the anthology,
You know what's funny about that?
you would
I said that same thing. I said, wow, if this didn't have anything on the page, no words or nothing, I'd still be able to make
you'd
this
still
out.
completely understand what was
Straight
happening
up.
and who these
I
two
agree.
people are. So I mean, shout out to Rafa Sandoval, because between this and Absolute Superman, like you just said, George, he's been killing it right now, and this is just another example, right?
Yeah, and it also feels like it's two people working at their strengths. Jeff Lemire's almost never writing what's going on in the scene, but he's layering the heartfelt conversation between Superman and Spider-Man. Meanwhile, Rafa is doing the heavy lifting of trying to tell a scene without. So, a lot of what they're talking about between Superman and Spider-Man is not shown, and a lot of what Rafa is drawing is not said. So they're almost working double to get their stuff visualized the way that they're supposed to. But look at how he displays light, like with the car lighting and stuff like that. That's cinematic. You know what I'm saying? Like just the way that cuts through the rain and how it cuts through the rain, the intensity changing the further the light goes, and all that stuff. He's really become a master at that kind of stuff. So those guys kind of, Jeff Lemire and Rafa Sandoval end up telling a quiet flashback story framed by a present-day conversation with Clark and Peter. The memory takes place decades ago in Kansas during a severe thunderstorm. Jonathan Kent is out in his truck when he finds Ben Parker, whose vehicle has broken down because a major bridge was washed away by the rising river. The two men do not know each other, but they immediately work together to save a group of people from a bus that is sliding down into the water. This is a version of John Kent that saves the kids in the bus.
I wanted you to say it, and I knew I was reading it, and I was waiting for the pod. I was waiting for this moment. I was staying quiet for somebody to come to the damn realization. All right? And I was slowly, quietly loving this right now because I know what you're reading, and I was waiting.
It didn't actually hit me until I read it out loud, and I clicked
the quiet part out loud. Damn it!
That's very funny. But The story serves as a tribute to the moral foundations of both fathers gave to their sons, showing that the great responsibility and truth started with them. But I think another important part about this, regardless of, I mean, I know people know this who've lived this life, but they were not their fathers,
Yeah.
right? Like that, the level of responsibility wasn't on them to impart any of this stuff. And I think a lot of people are gonna get this twisted because of many different interpretations of both of these characters. But the more I take in, the more I realize that without the moral compasses of the Kents and the Parkers, these characters don't become who they are at all.
Straight up.
Because
100%.
those parents on both sides will be the one to slap their wrist and go, "You did what?" You know, like
Right.
you put on
What are
your
you
suit and
doing?
you did
Right,
what?
This is not how you do this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is not how you do. This is
I
not how we
always
treat
say
people.
like the world of DC owes Jonathan and Martha Kent everything.
Yeah.
Because if that child lands with the wrong people, lights out for planet Earth. Literally lights out.
Yeah.
So looking at it, and I'll go as far to say this was my second favorite story in the anthology, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
and it's not a story with any fighting. There's little to no action, right? It's just purely character driven, looking at the ideals and the empathy of two people that helped raise arguably again two of the greatest superheroes of all time.
I was just gonna say the boys got to get it from somewhere, but
Right.
in this one they show you from where they're gonna get it from.
And I
And
think
it was a beautiful moment, right? Like
yeah.
like everything about this, from Jonathan stopping to help Ben
Super
on the
selfless.
bridge, yeah, to like them, helping these kids, and I would bet you they don't even know the name of these kids, where they live, anything. But what do they do? Take them into their home and give them something to drink and keep them warm and take care of them. And like, these are the people that raise these two amazing people. And it's really nice to get a look into just like a moment between these two father figures who are just genuinely good human beings.
Yeah.
And I this, for some reason, this anthology, like, out of all these stories, like, again, like with Spider-Man, Superman, all the craziness and the wackiness of so many other stories that we've been reading, this one just emotional kind of like magnifying glass on these two in this one scene during a thunderstorm tells you everything you need to know about the two of them and how the two people that they raised became the men that they are. And I loved it. I loved this part of it. I really
Hell
did.
yeah.
I think another big part of this characterization, and probably what's also hitting you, Russ, is neither one of these men is superpowered.
Yeah, they are who they are, right? And that speaks to that, right?
Yeah,
They don't
saved
have the
those
power
people
that they're
because
presenting.
they knew that that's what they needed to do.
Yeah,
And thus,
exactly.
if they've already had that level of great power, great responsibility, and entrusted in them as regular people, the people that they raise are going to know, hey, if you can, you do. If you're around and you can help, you do, because I do, and I can't run super fast or lift a building or web sling, all the way across Manhattan. But if I can help somebody, I will, and that's the kind of lessons and stuff I'm going to impart on you. And again, that's the beating heart of both of those characters, is what was instilled in them. I love that for Spider-Man, the whole, like, was it a good luck or good riddance or whatever, when he lets the robber get away. That's
I missed the part where that's my problem.
Yeah, that's a very
Yeah.
not Ben Parker thing to do.
Mhm.
And the first time he acts out of behavior because he's feeling a little pissy, because he's feeling a little petty, and he's feeling a little pissy, it costs him, one of the greatest losses of his life. And so having that instilled of always be a good person, even when it's hard, it's something that I feel like both of these characters really, really, that's what their whole vibe is. You do the right thing, not because we have these powers. You do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. It just so happens we have these powers.
And like the last splash page of this particular story, I love, like, it's two lines from Spider-Man and Superman, and Spider-Man says, like I said, we're from different worlds, and Superman says to him, not all that different. Yeah. And just that simple exchange between them. And it's kind of like we were talking before, how we mentioned with Superboy Prime and with Spider-Man, how they both had this alien element to them. With these two right here, you think about the how iconic both of them are, but when it boils down to it, the similarities between them, there's so many of them, right?
Yeah.
And this just being one, how they were both brought into families that didn't necessarily know they were gaining another family member,
Mm-hmm.
but when they did, they embraced them as one of their own.
Yeah.
And both of these heroes, whether it's Spider-Man saving people in Marvel's New York or Superman saving someone in Smallville or Metropolis, whoever that person is, they always try to make them feel safe. They try to make them feel comforted, and that started from their childhoods.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm gushing about this one
No,
too much. I
no,
just
you're
loved
actually
this.
making me
I
think
loved
about
the short story. I mean,
you're
yeah,
making
it's
me think
great.
about it more, and it's becoming a better story in my head the more I think about it, because Jeff Lemire is one of
Yeah.
my favorite writers, and nothing he ever does is surface. It's always multi-layered, right? So let's take this one other additional layer that we probably shouldn't, but we do because it's major issues, which is to say that this entire conversation is about how different these two are. Ultimately, to find out that they're not that different, right? And um, a lot of what we're going through right now, this divisive nature, is about our differences, about our religious differences, our differences in sexuality, and all that kind of stuff. And I think this story is to say, regardless of how different we are, we might find ourselves both on a bridge. You understand? And we might
Mhm.
find ourselves, your neighbor might be needing. And you may think that they're different because of where they came from, or where they were born, or what religion, or what sexuality, all that kind of stuff. But if we all just helped each other without, there's no big Jonathan and Ben don't have a big conversation about how they're gonna help and why they should and whatever. They put all that aside, and it's just the right thing to do. And I think this story is to say that you can act like Clark or Peter in one of these instances and try to come up with excuses as to why we're different. But when you all boil it down, we're all people who are gonna need help at the end of the day.
That's
So
it. Yeah.
that's how you should move. You should always move like everyone is the same. We're all the same. Stop talking about how different we are, because we all have way more in common than we pretend that we do. If any of that makes sense. That could have all been a
No,
verbal
I love
diarrhea.
that. That was genuine. I loved it.
but yeah, so our next story may be the one I'm not digging the most. Now that I think about it, I feel like it may be the weakest. Maybe because I didn't get the joke. But
That's them on TV with Jonah, right?
with Jack
Yeah.
Ryder, not to
Jack
be confused with
Ryder.
Zack Ryder, aka Matt Cardona. Yeah, that's the issue with Zack Ryder. It's called Bias. It's by Greg Rucka. The artist is Nicholas Scott, and with colors by Marcelo Marialo. If I getting that right. Greg Rucka and Nicholas Scott focus on the media landscape as Lois Lane and J. Jonah Jameson appear on Jack Ryder's talk show. Debate centers on journalistic and objectivity and whether superheroes should be held to public standards. Jameson launches into a typical tirade against Spider-Man, but Lois effectively shuts him down by analyzing his deep-seated psychological need to tear down those who act without profit. But I feel like what this hinges on is this idea that J. Jonah Jameson doesn't like masks.
I think so too. And yo, Lois broke that shit down real nice.
Yeah. But he also did too. He also did it in a way like
but Jonah ain't you already know Jonah's stone cold.
That's what I'm saying. The story makes him look like he's a hypocrite because Superman, he can't tell that Superman is wearing a mask because Clark is wearing a mask. But I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think he is right in believing that the ones he follows are not wearing masks. I feel like.
Also, I think it's funny that he brings up Captain America.
Hey, who are you? Oh, we had Russ on this show earlier. Who's this guy down there?
Oh, yeah, the glad.
Sorry. Oh, there you go. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I didn't realize what you were saying for a second. I was like, what did I do? Well, I also think it's funny, like in that, like I think Jonah's speech was great. I honestly, like, I was like, this is the kind of like side we don't normally see from J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny when he's like, oh yeah, all these people that use masks, and then Captain America mask.
Yeah. But there's a big joke, right? I mean, it's not a joke, but it was something that was pointed out to me that I didn't realize. Halfway through the MCU, someone pointed out, like, none of these guys have secret identities. Like Iron Man, I am Iron Man. Everyone knows Steve Rogers is Tony Stark. Natasha is like a well-known assassin and shit like that. Maybe Clint Barton, but like, what, it's codename Hawkeye or whatever, is like not wearing a mask or anything. So the MCU got us very comfortable with like superheroes just like out and about and stuff. And so him, like, when Diana doesn't have an alternative, like they did the Diana Prince stuff, right? Where she had like an alternative thing, but no, you're Wonder Woman 24/7. So a lot of the people that he's talking about are people that are almost bigger than their alter egos or bigger than their secret identities. And Superman becomes that eventually. He eventually says, "Why am I ever Clark Kent? Like I should just be Superman 24/7." And you can see why, even in how Jonah Jameson interacts with both, why you would choose to only be the Superman, right? Why waste your time? But the joke ends up being that even when he thinks he knows about, superheroes, and he can say things like, "Oh, you must be a coward if you're hiding your secret identity," he couldn't tell that Clark was hiding his. He also couldn't tell that Spider-Man was 2 feet higher than him in the
which was amazing.
Did they know he was like right above because he does speak, so I don't know if they heard him.
I loved how when we don't see him at first, but all you see is the little speech bubble, the psst, and then it shows that he's up there. Yeah. But I like the end. Like the last panel of this was cool when Lois says to Clark, she goes, "Should I break it to him?" And he goes, "Not on your life." And they just walk out of the TV station. It's great because it kind of it's that whole dichotomy, right? Jonah's like, I don't trust people with masks, but Superman does technically wear a mask all the time when he's not around. So
So
I also like that Clark was the only one to really spot him.
Yeah, no one else sees Spider-Man, just Clark. Yeah.
It reminds me, you were talking about BVS, and I forgot that this happens, and how amateur it must come across to Clark. But there's that whole like, Bruce excusing himself from the party to go steal the data or whatever.
Yeah, downstairs and all.
And he's like doing all this like super high tech stuff, and Clark's like, "I can hear you." Like, Clark's just like, "I can hear you. I can hear the guy you're talking to on the headset." Like, he's doing all this kind of stuff, and no one knows what he is. And Superman's just like, "Bro, like, what you got going on here?" The sleeper hit of this book.
Oh yeah.
Dare I say?
Fire.
100%. 100%. This is awesome.
The sleeper hit of this book. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna see if I could.
And I love that even before we started this, that we all agreed that this was like the one that was it came out of nowhere. Yeah.
My God. If you Google Gail Simone right now, it comes up Gail Simone Punisher Power Girl. That's how many people
amazing. That means that shit is hitting right now.
That's
what that means.
And you know what? As it should, though. As it should hit, because this was awesome. Like, and again, Power Girl and Punisher, are those two names you'd ever think would work at all in the same environment, same story? No, but the way that Gail Simone wrote this and crafted this story, I was hooked. I was like, where's this going? I was like, this is cool. Their banter is good. The story that goes on is good.
Their banter was super good.
Right? I don't know.
She gives him the umbrella when she walks in, bro, so he doesn't have to get
I love
wet.
it.
Come on now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at Frank. Does he look like the type of person that you're gonna be like, "Oh, here you go," but no, she's take my umbrella.
You big fucking meanie.
Before we get into this, I'd like to give you guys a bit of a background. We actually had the pleasure of seeing Gail Simone was actually posted about this and about this story. So he says, she says, I haven't told the story to anyone yet, except editor Marie Javins and artist Belen Ortega, who is amazing. What an amazing artist. We met her at MegaCon. We're going to do an interview soon. She says, these two brilliant women I adore and who made this story what it is with the great Jordi Belair doing color art. The first thing I saw when this was announced was a lot of people posting, why these two? They have nothing in common. And a lot of people guessed that this story would be pointless because of it. Why not Power Girl and Captain Marvel? Why not Punisher and Huntress? I get it. But when Marie suggested these two characters, I immediately flipped. I was so happy. It just clicked. I knew there would be a key to making it fit. I didn't know yet what it was, but I knew in my brain it was right. As a big comics fan, it took me a couple of days to figure it out, and then I did. They had both been created by the great Jerry Conway. At the same time, I had been building a new villain for my favorite story so far in Uncanny X-Men. She was called Lady Darkhold, and I created the character from the body of a one-shot character of an old obscure comic Werewolf by Night. Her name was Agatha Timley. She didn't have much of a career, dying in her first appearance, but I dug her, so she was perfect for what I had in mind. She was also created by Jerry Conway. I had been a fan as long as I had been reading comics. This guy was writing Spider-Man, the Marvel's flagship title, at 19 years old. He created so many characters I love and wrote so many foundational stories for me that it became a big part of what comics meant to me my whole life. For a long time, it was easier to mention a title he didn't write. One of my favorite JLA runs, Avengers, Defenders, Atari Force, Swamp Thing, just on and on. He co-created Firestorm, Vixen, just a raft of the best. If you imagine Marvel or DC without him, you'll very quickly see the gaps. And if you make superhero comics in either company, odds are you're walking in his footsteps quite a great deal. He seemed to like to wander, to try different things, and that really appealed to me. I love to write a Western on Wednesday and something funny on Friday. He wrote The Punisher, whom I adore when written well. I can't abide the psychopath version. I think he can be the Punisher and still not be that guy. I also always loved Power Girl, who looked like a bombshell, but also, when need arose, knew how to get shit done. These characters had been two of my favorites, so I knew how to do right by them. And to me, that meant writing them in a way Jerry would have approved of. More on that in a minute. I keep speaking on past tense. Please don't be alarmed. It's merely because Jerry has announced his retirement from appearances. Of all the achievements Jerry has had, my favorite is the original Superman Spider-Man cover, which I could not afford but found a way to get to read and read it to absolute tatters. To this day, it remains one of my top 10 comics of all time. Period, no notes. 50 years ago this year. For years, I have been pestering the top people at DC and Marvel to do crossovers again. I was told they would never happen. Shut down flat. Never have I been so wrong. So Mary asked me to do the 5-pager. That meant every word had to count. It had to be just the right artist, and above all else, it had to be respectful to Jerry Conway's vision. We got lucky with the art team. The results speak for themselves. I wrote the script and rewrote it. I wanted it to convey more than jokes. There's a key element that I wanted to convey. Jarvis. That something beautiful had wandered into Frank's dark life for a moment and gave him an umbrella to keep the rain off. That one moment that you were able to see is what she really, really wanted to convey. It's not meant to ridicule him. It's meant to remind him that there's a better world out there, and sometimes it refuses to let a man work in the pouring rain. So I wrote this story, and the art started to come in, and holy God, I was just glued to every panel. I have analyzed the choices Belen made, and then Jordy after her, and I wouldn't change the stroke of the pen or a shade of the colors for anything. Here's the part that made me cry a little. It's not sad, it's just a lot. While working on this, I got a message from Tim Hague, who I didn't know, but he told me he had the great comic shop Arsenal Comics and Games. He said Jerry was his friend and mentor, and I had heard about the story and the characters involved. I was a little skeptical, but it turned out to be legit, and I ended up talking to Jerry directly. Timmy said he had heard the story and was hoping to see the script or art for it, just to see how it turned out, having created the characters. I gushed back that I would be delighted, but I had to check to make sure that it was okay to send. Sorry, but you know Jerry Conway. Timmy said, I'll absolutely extend the words to Jerry. He's a big fan of your work too, and when I told him you were the writer for those two characters in the crossover, he was over the moon. He says, when I stopped floating, I did get approval to send some black and white art and got the following note from Jerry himself. Wow, this art is incredible. I'm so impressed by the quality of art in comics these days. My era worked to different standards, so it's impossible to compare. Thank you for sharing this. I'm glad you found an inspiration for my old Werewolf by Night series. It was a lot of fun writing those articles, and it turns out it was Agatha all along. Thanks for your kind words. I'm a great fan of your work, and I'm glad we've gotten to get in touch finally. Best ever, Jerry. Now, it's no secret that Jerry has been dealing with pancreatic cancer. It's on his Wikipedia page and elsewhere, and he recently announced his last convention appearance. But he took the time to write this kind note to me, and I will carry that in my heart forever. This is hard, and I'm hoping for the best for this guy, the creative force who kept me going when I was a kid and who really needed to read about heroes. Time and again, these people who have been giants to me insist on continuing to be so tall that I can't see their faces from my POV, and I love them for it. I'm so heartened by this response to this 5-page little tale. It feels like we did okay, we didn't get it wrong, which means so much to me, so much more than a gig. I hope that this little story is a fitting tribute and a little bit of thank you to Jerry Conway, writing heroes for almost 6 decades and being one himself for almost as long. Thank you, Jerry. Frank and Karen say hi.
I love that.
So
I love that.
This was obviously done with love. Gail Simone is just an incredible writer anyway. She is too bogged down and doesn't do podcasts, but she constantly reshares our stuff and likes our stuff and reposts and gets, we're on the same page. I feel like we're friends. She might not say it right now, but we're friends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One of the things that I saw her talk about this before I read it. And I read it. And just going over it quickly, it's about Frank Castle having done a stakeout at this place that has the worst of the worst. So he decides that he's going to be the doorman. He's going to get a job as a doorman so he can get an in to stop the people when he needs to. But as working as a doorman, he ends up seeing Karen Starr, aka Power Girl, Earth 2 Supergirl, if I'm not mistaken. I got that right, Russ?
You know what? I'm gonna be honest. The continuity has shifted so many
Yes,
times.
yes.
I don't even want to say you're completely right or completely wrong, but let's go with that.
Fair. I had known her as being some version of Supergirl from another universe.
Yeah.
She's there on a blind date, but she sees Frank and she's all bubbly and sweet, and Frank's waiting for a murderer, so he's a bit hoarse or whatever. But he gives him her pink umbrella as he stands outside, and kind of makes him gives him a little guff about it, and is able with her, with her attitude to kind of make him do it, which I think is cute. Now, upon reread of this and looking, all the villains are there. They're all sitting at the table. I didn't catch that initially when I was taking my notes, that they are all just sitting there. Some of them are characters that she helped write for. Like, I believe that's Catman there.
Taskmaster is in there too.
Tasky's in there.
Yeah.
Chameleon's in there. I want to say that's Phantom Stranger, but I could be getting that completely wrong. I see Firefly back there, or Beetle. I can't remember which one's which. And then, yeah. So
also supposedly Vandal Savage, perhaps.
That's what
Vandal
say,
Savage.
yeah.
Vandal Savage is
the
he's
date.
supposedly they think he's Vandal. Jarvis, are you familiar with Paul Rabin? You have not been reading modern comics at the moment, but do you know
Jarvis,
who this gentleman is?
Who the gentleman is? That's the date. It was one of the funniest parts of this entire thing, especially when I don't remember exactly where the line is, but she said, I think he prefers redheads or something like that. Oh my God.
Do you know who this gentleman is, Jarvis?
I do not.
So, maybe a year or two ago, he had become the most hated character in comics, not having a superpower or anything. He is revealed to be Mary Jane's husband.
Oh God.
At one point, they have kids.
Yeah.
I think eventually it's realized that they're not real kids, or something happens to the kids in general. But Peter meets back up with MJ. She's with this dude, and they have kids.
Yeah.
And so the whole world is like,
remember if it create. Yeah, I think I remember the hullabaloo that it made, but I don't remember the name. But I do remember the MJ fuss around that time.
So this is Paul off of the breakup of MJ, trying to get a date.
That's why he's on that. That's why he's on that date.
And he keeps bringing up his ex. He keeps bringing up his ex and exes and stuff. I just had a tough breakup. First time on a dating app.
Get my mouth.
No one liked the hipster hair. No one liked the little beard. No one liked his glasses. No one liked that he was in the way of Mary Jane and Peter. That was the big beef. You know what I'm saying? What are you doing here? But he finds himself on a date with Power Girl, who immediately is like, yeah, he's not getting no play with that ponytail. I love that she's like, I'm not giving him none coming in here the way that he is. He literally says, don't worry, no one likes me at first. I don't know why. I swear I'm a nice guy. That's what a woman wants to hear from their date. Yeah. That's one of the first words getting said. But Frank is keeping an eye out on them on their date, but also knows that there's a bunch of baddies inside. So he shows up, pulls out his guns, and tries to assault Paul. But Karen, aka Power Girl, arrives, and Power Girl arrives in her full gear and yokes up Frank. And I think that's the moment he was like, yeah, I think I'm in love. When he gets yoked up. And so he's like, oh, let me, and it turns out there's a bunch of villains there working for, they think that that's Vandal Savage and they're here to kill him. But instead, the two work together to bust some heads. I have a bit image of them both having a blast doing so right here.
I like the two uppercut, that little panel of them
the double uppercut
home. Yeah,
the double uppercut was sick.
That's just fire.
Yeah. But also, after the fight's over, when they I'm assuming they defeat all the villains, whoever runs away, just them sharing the drink at the table after. Cool I like hearing all that background from Georgia Ford, and obviously how much the three of us really enjoyed this one. It just goes to show, right? Sometimes even the pairings you never think will work, or the combinations you never think will work, try them out, right? Like, take that risk, take that chance, right?
Well, the thing is, like, I feel like the whole "they don't work" is a very surface level thing. If you're good at any of this, you can make it work.
Yeah, you can make it.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know, especially with how long comics have been going. She found her in. Her in is the creator, right?
Yeah.
That became her in. But she, on the surface of it, again, like, what would these two have in common? And then you kind of bubble it down. And one of the other things that I feel like I'm getting from this is this idea that people think they know these characters, and maybe they don't.
Mm-hmm.
People think they may have because she's always been shown as eye candy.
Yeah.
You know, there's even the boob window discussion of whatever that she says in one comic that she always kept it open, not so that people could see, but so that she could put a symbol there one day that she respected.
When she feels like, yeah, exactly.
Like that. But it's that too, you know. And so, I love the whole, like, why are you so pissed off all the time? He's like, I lost my family. She's like, yeah, I lost my whole planet. What are we doing out here in these streets? But I like that they both didn't ask for the night that they had and decide they want to see what the rest of the night has to offer, and they fly away. And I love that it ends with War Journal. I won't lie, she makes a good pitch.
You know
I hope, and I hope. I didn't see like all the stories that are going to be in next month's, but man, I would love to see like just how their night in Mongolia went.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I would just love to see like what happened. Did they eat? Did they get in some kind of trouble? But like I would say like this one, the one with Miguel and Batman Beyond and Superboy, like those, and of course Superboy Prime and Spider-Man. Like those are the three I would love to see. Like if we do get a part 2, those would be really fun to see like what happened at the end.
Yeah, I would definitely call this issue a success, though. If the intent was to pay tribute to both of these characters, give people an easy access point to get in, do a love letter to their history while also fleshing out other characters in this. This is a lot of writers flexing their muscles and showing what they got, and you know they are heavy hitters on this book because of their ability, and they are lending their talents to two of the greatest characters exist. So yeah, I absolutely adored this issue. I loved all the backups. I didn't feel that same way about Batman and Deadpool. Like there's definitely like I really like that. I don't know what's going on here. You know, some of the Frank Miller stuff. I was like, bro, what are you doing? But anyway, but yeah, I thought this was a success. I think this breakdown we did was a success. But if we are putting if we're closing the door on here, Jarvis, what do you want to say at finish up our conversation on Superman Spider-Man here?
I'm just even looking forward to next month even more now, because I just want the rest of this to come out so that way I can have it.
Yeah.
You know, that's exactly what it boils down to. I just need to have it. So I can't wait for next month, and I want, and like Russ said, I just can't wait to see what they're gonna have in between, you know.
Yeah. This is also feels like a timeless book. It feels like a book that you know you can give your kids later on. Like I remember when this came out. Look at it. Well, how fun! How how fun!
Read this. Blah. And drop it in.
It's also gorgeous. You know, they talked a little bit about the evolution of art. Jerry Conway did, right? About how much things change, and this is such a different, eclectic sample size of all the different takes and techniques in modern art. I really, really dug it. What about you, Russ? What are you coming away from this conversation and this book thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I will say I'm very happy to have spent the money on every single cover for this book after reading it. Right?
Good for you, bro.
Yeah.
Good for you. Such a flex. Flex that shit.
I had to flex that, right? I was flexing before we started the conversation. Before I was showing all the covers, but man, like at the end of the day, all jokes aside, like all of the stories in this book had a purpose. All the stories in this book looked at these two characters from a very interesting perspective, even if they weren't in those particular stories. You had the really like emotional stuff like the bridge with Jonathan Kent and Ben Parker. You had the zany stuff with Jimmy and Carnage, which was just like ridiculous. You had like again the title issue, Truth, Justice, and Great Responsibility with Superman and Spider-Man fighting each other, fighting an iconic villains for the other one. I mean, just every story worked for me, right? I never felt like there was like a real down moment in this. And when you have these two characters, it should feel like that. It should feel like a celebration. It should feel like you are looking at all of the good things these characters have done for all like they've been around since like basically the introduction of the American superhero, right? Like
Yeah.
they are these quintessential characters for their respective companies and in their place in pop culture. And for me, this book did what it had to do. It was a celebration of both characters, bringing their worlds together, and ultimately showing why comics is just such a fucking awesome medium.
Yeah.
Like,
Hell yeah.
that's it, really. Like, why do we
Hell
read
yeah.
comics? To have fun, look at some dope art, and read some cool stories. And that is what this book did. And like my other two guys, like you guys are saying here, right? I can't wait for next month. Like, what else are they gonna come up with for these two? Because I'll eat it up, man.
Yeah.
I
I
loved
gotta
it. I
get that.
loved it.
Also gotta get that Sanford Green cover. Absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait till that issue comes out. But yeah, if you were watching us live on YouTube, thank you for joining us here. If you're listening to this podcast, which comes out every
Indeed.
Thursday in audio form, thank you for checking us out there. But yeah, this has been a hell of a conversation about DC, Marvel, Superman, Spider-Man #1. You can find all of our past episodes at comicbookclick.com, the one stop for all things comic book click. That's the Major Issues podcast. That's our international comic book review team, pumping out reviews each and every day for the latest and greatest to come to comic books. Really, really proud of those guys. Like I said, when I say international, I mean international. These guys are coming from all over, and they're all covering a big slew of books. I'm so proud of where that has taken us in that regard, which has led us to do more interviews with creators through our Major Discourse. Get ready for a bomb interview with Tyler Boss to drop sometime soon. And again, you might have to wait and see who is coming up next on the on the Major Discourse, but to each his own.
You heard?
But yes, if you're watching this on video or for whatever reason you found us and you're like, you know what, I already have like a podcast app. I don't want to watch this on YouTube or anything like that. We're available wherever podcasts are found. Podbean, Stitcher, the Apple Podcast app, TuneFind, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Just Google the Major Issues Podcast. Our digital footprint is massive. You type in Major Issues Podcast on Google, and we're the first ones to pop up because we're always talking about the latest and greatest things to come to comic books, comic book media. We are all over Facebook, so join the conversation. Go to facebook.com/comicbookclick, Instagram @comicbookclick, or use that hashtag comicbookclick to talk about all the things we like to talk about here. We're also at Major Issue CBC on Twitter and at Major Issue CBC on Twitch. We are still working on our Discord to start doing some live watch parties. I think The Boys is just coming up. That's Amazon, and they're very friendly. Twitch is very friendly with doing Amazon watch parties, so we might be doing one for The Boys. We just missed the cutoff for Invincible, but hopefully that's something that we could be a part of there. I love Comic Book Click because you can go on there. Everything on there is free, but if you want to help us out, you can support us by going to our Patreon, patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse, where for as little as 10 cents a day, $3 a month, we could afford the hardware and the software we need to keep providing you guys content free of charge. But we share Comic Book Click with the great folks over at Dirt Sheet Radio, the industry leaders in professional wrestling and pop culture. John Escudero runs a tight ship over there. Those guys are working tirelessly to do pre and post show coverage of every major wrestling event known to mind, while also
they don't sleep over there. They don't sleep. They're awake.
Look, you guys need a place to find your wrestling covers. There's nowhere else you want to be but Dirt Sheet, man.
Man, those guys are killing it. They're earnest. They check their sources. They're not mean spirited. They love what they do, and occasionally we have them on here talking geek stuff. So go ahead and check out the other side of comicbookclick.com, which is the folks over at Dirt Sheet Radio. You can find them on Facebook usually. Through us, you can find them. So go ahead and check out their stuff. Their stuff is absolutely amazing. If you can also buy some merchandise. We are putting up some new jobs in Printful. A welcome to Hell's Kitchen shirt we just made in response to Daredevil, and we also have a "Is This Even Canon?" t-shirt that has just come out with some very famous logos of some superheroes you may recognize. That I'm really, really excited about to show you guys. And we get a kickback of everything purchased. So not only do you get a one-of-a-kind design by me, we get some schmeckles to help us pay for all this stuff here. But if you can't bear it right now, if you've done wasted all your tax money on that $12,000 Cody Rhodes bus tour, and you cannot and you can't give us any money, consider rating and reviewing us on iTunes, because it's the quickest way that other people get to find this podcast. Because I've always believed we got the best stuff on the street. You just got to get a little bit of a free sample. You'll always come back for more. So if you think a friend, a family member, your partner, your symbiote would dig listening to this podcast, share the wealth, the word of mouth is how we get bigger, and it's how we've gotten as big as we have so far. So thank you guys so much for the support you have given us. If you want to give us support, like I said, Patreon, buy a shirt, or just tell people about the podcast. Keep spreading the love. I've been to the future where we do become the latest and greatest thing to come to comic books and comic book media, but I can't tell you how we do it, because if I tell you, it'll mess up the timeline, and next thing you know, we're going to have some kind of like weird ass live action Moana where The Rock is wearing a wig or something, and nobody wants any of that. So let's make sure that we stay getting where the getting's good right here as part of Comic Book Click. Get on the bandwagon now, because it's getting full, and if it keeps getting full, I ain't going to be able to hear you in the back. So while there's still room up front, get in the bandwagon. We got places to go, and 2026 is going to be a hell of a year for Comic Book Click. But I think that is all I've got left. Hey, do you want the people to find you, Russ, at all?
You can find my reviews on Comic Book Click. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at RustyHeart38. I forgot my Blue Sky is, but that's the one I'm more active on now.
Same, bro. I'm like bluesky.social//
I gotta read it.
I'm like, I don't know.
But yeah, I'm on Blue Sky too. You can find me through Comic Book Click, and yeah, I mean, this has just been a great journey. I'm glad to be here with the guys. This is awesome. Please follow us, give us a rating, give us a like, give us all the great things so we can keep bringing you this awesome stuff. And
are you part of the party?
Onwards and
Are
upwards.
you part of this part 2 party?
Oh, what's the part 2 party?
The other side of this. Are you doing Spider-Man?
I would love to be on the other side of this if you guys would have me.
Hey, hey, looks like you guys are gonna have to tune in and find out. There's your hook right there, but we'll be coming back around for the other side.
Good.
Jarvis, do you want people to find you anywhere?
Yeah, everyone can find me on Instagram, super, that's 3 R's _ JYEII.
Yeah, it's J is spelled YEII, because it's
indeed
JYEII. But yes,
indeed,
find those people. But then that means there's nothing else left for me to say. But my name is George Serrano, aka the Don.
I am your Cloudus Maximus.
I am the King of Hearts.
And this has been our DC, Marvel, Superman, and Spider-Man #1 recap and review. And remember, whether you're just the girlfriends watching your heroes almost die and throw each other into a robot, whether you got, whether you like to break fourth walls or like to break jaws, whether you're a bit of a thwip, whether you're a bird or you're a plane, remember you're part of the clique, and nothing will ever be the same. And always remember that you, yes, you are